Welcome to Cooper Talk. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, and remember, I'm only as hip as my guests. And I have to tell you something, people. I hadn't shaved my head for almost like a month and a half. Maybe because Joanne's mom was out and her niece was out, and even though I'm bald, it grows on the side, and my hair was getting very unruly, and I was starting to look like Larry from the Three Stooges. And the reason I bring this up is because, well, we're going to talk about my guest and his hair, but I have two friends I'm trying to start a hair battle with. And one is my friend Phil Varone, who's in Saigon Kick and Skid Row, and he says he has the best hair. And I have another friend, Rich Redmond, who's the drummer for Jason Aldean, and he crashed here a few weeks ago, and he gets up, and we were out the night before at a dinner party, and me and Joanne are looking at him, and we're going, oh my God, his hair is amazing. And I was thinking about it. I wanted to start a hair war with these two guys, but the problem is this: my guest today, his hair is better than both of them. And what's amazing is this guy, I want to say he wears a lot of hats in the entertainment business, and that would piss me off if he wore a hat because of his hair. But I got to tell you, I guess he's an accomplished actor of TV, movie, and he's been on Broadway. He's a writer, producer, director, and above all that, he's a best-selling singer. And my guest is Michael Damian. How you doing, Michael?
Oh, thank you for that super kind introduction, Steve. You're awesome. Appreciate it.
I was looking at your, I'm looking, because I always do my research, and I'm looking, and it's one of those things, I love guests that have a lot going on. And I always sit there, I saw your bio, and it's like, you've been in this business your whole life. You started playing piano when you were 6.
That was, around 5 or 6. My mom is a concert pianist, and she taught all 9 of us music at a very young age. And everybody started from piano, and then all my 6 sisters and 2 brothers then went on to do their own thing. Like, for instance, I also studied vibes and trombone and clarinet. And so I played different instruments. My sister's guitar, bass, trumpet, trombone, sax. My brother Tom plays drums. So we all just fell madly in love with music at a very young age. And so the house was incredibly loud. If you can imagine 9 musicians practicing, after school.
I was going to say that. It's amazing. I always say it's funny because in my neighborhood, I grew up in New Jersey, and we had one house that had a family that size. It was the Coolahans. And there was 7 boys, and then at the bottom 2 girls. And I always felt bad for those girls who had to eventually date because they would have to get the approval of 7 brothers. Now, it's crazy. Now, where were you in the scheme of children?
Well, I was number 8.
Okay.
I am number 8. I'm still number 8.
You're still alive.
Yes. I was number 8. What happened to me? Yeah, no, I'm number 8. And it's funny you say that because I just remember you just made me flash back to just some embarrassing moments with my dad, kicking my sister's boyfriends out of the house. I was like, or I just remember my dad's eyeballs rolling when, it's like when they would come over for dinner, oh, is he coming for dinner? Oh God, another freeloader.
Yeah. So now, so you guys are all playing music, and I know eventually you started a band?
Yeah, we had a band. Just to let you know, my full name, I'm not sure you know this, is Michael Damian Weir. And so the band was called the Weirs, the Weir Family. And so we had all these different names. The Weirs Caravan. We kept trying to change the name to hopefully, when we didn't get a break with this title, we changed our name to hopefully get a break.
Right.
So we kept changing the name a little bit, but we all played together for many years. We played in San Diego at clubs, Marine bases, weddings, bar mitzvahs. Then we were, because that's where we're from. We were from the San Diego area, and then we moved to Los Angeles and started, to be really taken serious. We started playing at the Troubadour, the Starwood, the Roxy, the Whiskey A Go Go.
So you guys were playing all the cool places. You were really you were really submersed in that rock scene that was so big at that time.
Oh yeah, we were I think every month at Madame Wong's. I don't know if you remember that place. That was like a really happening place. For those that don't know, the Troubadour is where Elton John first played, Billy Joel first played. There's some amazing iconic places. The Roxy, the Starwood. The Starwood, unfortunately, is no longer in LA. But so we were playing all these clubs and trying to get the record companies out to see us, and we had a great following. And they always showed up. It was pretty amazing. Played a lot of colleges, and had some records that came out. That's sort of, I don't know if we never talked about this, but that's kind of how I was able to get a break. Was we were performing. I'll never forget it. We were performing in Portland, and I remember stopping at a. We were getting gas for our Ford Econoline van,
right?
And I saw all those Tiger Beat magazines on the newsstand. And I was like, oh, well, these guys are my age, Ralph Macchio, Leif Garrett, those guys were...
Me, I was on it. No.
Yeah, you were on there. You were plastered on the cover. So, Donny Osmond and everybody. I was like, man, sorry about that.
That's all right.
I apologize. My messaging system is going through my laptop, and
I was thinking you just held up a Tiger Beat magazine and your tooth glistened. That's what
it did. And I should have said that. I'm not that witty, but you are. So to make a long story even longer, I see in the magazine. I take the magazine. I get in the van because we have hours and hours of driving, to all these different places, and I see, right to Tiger Beat magazine. And I see this, a new face to love and all these different things. So I concocted this idea that I'd write a letter to Tiger Beat magazine from my manager, which I deemed my brother. And Larry, my brother, became my manager. And we wrote a letter and sent a photo, and we just happened to be playing at the Troubadour in about 3 weeks from that time. And we invited Tiger Beat magazine to come to the show. And my brother's about to sign it. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, you can't sign. I have to change my name because they're going to think you're my brother or my dad or something, So I'll just use my first and middle name, Michael Damian. You sign Larry Ware manager. And so we send the letter off and don't hear anything. And Troubadour happens. Kind of forgot all about it. And did the gig. Gig was awesome. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I get a call or an email, or not an email, it was a phone call because there was no emails back then. And they said, we'd like to have a talk with you. This is, I'm the editor of Tiger Beat magazine, and you're going to be featured next month in the magazine. And I was like, what? Yeah, we came to the Troubadour and shot photos of you.
Oh, wow.
So I had no idea. And they said, can we speak to Larry Weir, your manager? And I'm like, yes. And, it is Michael Damian there. I'm like, when you're kind of trying to remember everything. And
you're caught in that lie, but you're not exactly sure what part you bullshitted and what part you didn't.
Well, I'm so glad, my sister didn't, answer and go, you mean Mike Weir? And so, he's in the bathroom, So, anyway, that was, and then they called me in and I did an interview with them, ran the, full page, full centerfold, a new face to love in Tiger Beat magazine. And that's when I was able to get some leverage with a song. And then Dick Clark had me on American Bandstand, and I was able to perform my first single on that show called She Did It, written by Eric Carmen.
What is that like? We think about it because, I have a background in comedy. And when comics did the Tonight Show with Carson back in the day, it was groundbreaking. American Bandstand was such a popular show, and we've come to a point now where videos aren't as popular, but it must have really just been so exciting for you because you go from Tiger Beat to being on a legendary show. It just must have opened up a bunch of doors.
Oh, absolutely. It was. I watched on a bandstand, we're gonna rock it, da 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 da. So I was in love with that show and the song, and Dick Clark was so nice and had me on there. And what's really cool is because of that performance, and this is how strange and wonderful things happen, the producers of Young and the Restless saw me on American Bandstand and came up with the idea of writing a character that was a singer, waiter, trying to make it in the music business. And that's when they reached out to me and said, have you ever acted before? And of course, when somebody asks, you say yes.
Right.
So, you don't say no. I'm acting right now. And so, of course I act, So that's kind of how that all happened. And then I was, because of the American Bandstand, that's how the Young and the Restless first saw me. And I came on the show to play Danny Romalotti for 3 months, and that turned into about 20 years.
Well, it's amazing because, when I talk to people about actors, you didn't have an acting background, and they say, like, if you start off and you go on a soap, it's so hard because you have to learn so much. It's not like, hey, take 3, take 4. It's like, someone who doesn't have the acting background is going into a set like that it's very tight and it's very quick, let's do this. How did you adapt to that? You must have been a little bit nervous sitting there going, okay, I got to do how many lines?
Well, it's funny you say that because I did the first day, and it was like, nope, it was so much fun. It was so easy squeezy. I was like, this is amazing, And then I get into my dressing room, and I go in there, and there's 4 scripts sitting on the coffee table, and I'm like, what's this? And I look, it's for tomorrow, 8 pages, 9 pages, Wednesday, 12 pages, Thursday, 18 pages, you know what I mean? I went, oh my gosh, okay. I wasn't prepared for that, and that kind of memorization, because this show they shoot almost like a live show. It's not like single camera, film style. This is multi-camera. It's like they're shooting a live show. So you have to know everything and know your dialogue. Then you learn your blocking and where to go and all this mechanics. But I was not prepared for the massive amount of memorization, which that. Something that I had to learn really quick, and but I after a few weeks I was what you do is the minute you're done with that episode that day, you just hit delete in your brain, and then you start memorizing Tuesday's show, and then you can't really think about Monday's show or Tuesday's show. You got to just keep moving forward because the dialogue is there's so much dialogue, and not just dialogue. You got to understand and memorize the stage direction, because there's a lot of things in there that are important that help you, perform the role. So, I was 17, and it was just, I was eager to learn, and very fortunate, and got an amazingly incredible break that I will never forget.
Now, how does it change from being on 3 months? Because I always heard soaps are like that. It's like a 3-month trial or whatever. Now, as a young kid, and you sit there and you just on Bandstand, you have this great break, and you think, you're probably going, yeah, it'll be 3 months, but this is cool. I can do my singing, and this is a good venue. It gives me popularity. How did you know that they were going to keep you longer? Was your character just growing, just like blowing up? What did they sit there? Did they say? I know you were involved with cricket. I don't know if it was a love story, but what made them to sit there and go, okay, we want this character? And why do you think he had such a longevity?
Well, the character, the character exploded that summer, and it was huge. And the ratings were, through the roof. And so they extended it, and it was so great because this was like the first time, a singer is actually performing and singing on the show. And, nobody had been doing that. And so it was revolutionary. And I'll never forget, my character had fantasies that he'd become a rock star. So we shot this full rock star concert event situation with, hundreds and hundreds of screaming girls. And I'll never forget, we shot that on the Price is Right stage with, the theater with the grandstands.
Yeah.
And so, we shot it there. They had the smoke machines and the very lights, and, you know what I mean, the band on stage, and yeah, no, it was really it was one of those things where it took off that summer.
I always think like, you're on this popular show, your character's very popular, you're a good looking guy. Could you imagine if the internet was around back then? Just could you imagine you would probably be bombarded? I'm sure you got a ton of fan mail, but you probably would have been getting so much email and Facebook and Twitter messages. Probably would have been insane.
It was you're so right about, first of all, that's kind of a crazy, just to try to fantasize about that. I mean, we had to, everything was snail mail. And you're right. I mean, you could reach out to the world at such an accelerated rate nowadays. It's incredible, the accessibility and how you can promote yourself. Where back then, you only had you had limited opportunity, which would be either television, radio, or film, in a theater. And back then, there were not that many channels. You had just your main three channels and some local networks, local stations. I mean, so, so much has changed. Wow. Yeah. No, it's incredible that what you can do in this day and age.
You got to tell me. I mean, how many times did you get mobbed? Because I always said there. It must have been because, as I say, soap opera fans are like a lot like Star Trek fans, except soap opera fans are usually of the female persuasion. And I mean, what was it? Could you walk down the street? I mean, because it's something that the soap opera, you're this heartthrob. I mean, what is it like for you to sit there at that time? I mean, were people just flocking to you?
It was pretty well. It was crazy. I mean, because I was plastered on all the teen magazines. Young and the Restless is the #1 show. Then I had hit record. So it was pretty crazy. It was really wild. I'll never forget. We had some big concerts. I remember in Toronto. Just it got out of control. Riot squads came in. Some woman gave birth. It was all like it was all.
Now, how did you're on the show now? How did the song "Rock On" come about?
Well, I had I don't know if you know this. I had 2 albums out in Canada and in Europe before the U.S. And I was on CBS Records in Canada. So I had a bunch of music out in Canada, and then then I had my album out in the U.S. finally. But it took some time, and when I was recording the album for the U.S., I just that song was my favorite song growing up. It meant a lot to me. It was sort of my anthem.
Okay.
I was very unpopular. I was, I had no girlfriends. I was awkward. I came from a giant, huge family, and we were sort of like kind of gypsy. Hippie gypsy musicians, you know what I mean? It was kind of crazy. So we certainly didn't fit in. I certainly didn't fit in. And so I found that song to be sort of an anthem for me. And so I thought, wow, it'd be really cool. I think that a lot of people, especially younger people, have never heard this song before.
It's a great song.
And so thank you. Yeah, no, I think I agree. And, I love it. And David Essex is awesome. And one of the great things about it is that I was able to get to meet him, and he came to LA. We had dinner. He was in my follow-up music video, Cover of Love. He played a little cameo in it. And so that's pretty exciting times. And it sparked so many things. I did a huge, worldwide tour. So I shot Young and the Restless Monday through Thursday, and jumped on a plane, and I played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, flew back Sunday night, and then back on Young and the Restless Monday morning.
How, just the balancing of that, how did you balance it for the fact that, you're acting, which is great, but then you're coming from playing these big concerts, and it must be, that adrenaline, that high. I mean, how did you bring yourself back down to get in front of the soundstage because you're young. You're not, I mean, you must have, your mind must have been spinning all the time.
Well, I was so, you got to remember, I wanted it so bad. I mean, I was like, I prayed and prayed and just like I was like, I wanted that break so bad. You know what I mean? And not just for me, but I wanted it for my family too, because I work with my family and they played on all my tours with me. They produced records with me. We opened a recording studio together. You know what I mean? It was really someone had to make it from the family. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where somebody's got to have, something's got to give. We got to get a break. And so I was just, I was just really lucky that I was the one to have that break. And so to answer your question, I remember I just did a lot of sleeping on airplanes.
Okay.
So that was one thing. That's where I caught up on my sleep. And I thought it was a nice contrast because all the chaos and all the craziness on the weekends. And then there was this, very quiet soundstage where there's silence most of the time. You know what I mean? So you had a nice break.
Now, did you need bodyguards? Just please tell me you needed bodyguards.
Oh yeah, all the time.
What was that like? I mean, people can't comprehend. What is that like? Like everyone goes, "Oh yeah, I want to be this big star." But when you have bodyguards around you, do you try to just act normal, or do you always sit there and go, "Oh, there's someone watching me"?
No, the bodyguards. I had a rule with them. They were to always, always, always be nice to the fans. I don't care how pushy they got. I don't care whatever the situation was, they were to always treat them. In fact, I got really upset a few times when they were not nice to the fans, you know what I mean, and shoving them or, scolding them. I was like, no, you just do it. I don't ever want these. If it weren't for these fans, I'd be nowhere.
Right.
So they are the top priority. Just, keep me alive and be nice to them always. So yeah, we had it in the contract where everywhere I went, we had the bodyguards and it's a necessity, but the fans were great. I mean, they were amazing. I mean, they all they want to do is get close, get an autograph or a hug or something. It's not like they don't want to try anything crazy. That only happened a couple times.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, was there any times that you were actually like something happened where you were scared? I mean, like holy crap, stuff's going to happen.
Well, yeah, in Toronto when that event got out of control, they were expecting 1,500, and I think about 6,000 showed up for the event, and they weren't prepared for it. And that's where when I was leaving the event, all the fire trucks and riot police and all this are pulling up to the Eden Center, and I'm leaving because it was over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Out there. But that was crazy. They didn't have enough security for it. Nobody, it just depends if we're caught off guard with the amount of people that show up. I'll never forget. I took my girlfriend, my wife, now Janine, to a big 4th of July concert, and I said, I kind of warned her about. I can't remember what I said to her. Anyway, whatever it was, I had this shirt that her favorite, like she loved this shirt that I was wearing to the concert, and I'll never forget. I went down to the front and they literally, grabbed my sleeves and then tore the sleeves off of it, and I'll never forget Janine saying, "I am so mad. That shirt is my favorite shirt. I can't believe they shredded that shirt." She was so, I don't know if she gave it to me. I think she must have, because she was really upset about that. She loved the fans, but that was the only time that she was bummed out, was when they did that shirt.
Your wife's mad that they ripped the shirt. No, I find out my girlfriend Joanne, if I sit there, if I have a sock with a hole in it, she always throws it away, and I'm like, it's a good sock. She's like, there's a hole in it, so it's just the clothing thing.
Listen, you know what? She's a smart woman. Listen to her, because I have a sock story that when I was in Monte Carlo with Janine, we were there for some big event fundraiser on a yacht, and I wore we were getting dressed, and I had a sock with a hole in it. And she's like, "You're not going to wear those socks." I go, "Yes, I'm going to wear these socks. What are they? What are you going to take my shoe off and look at my toe?" So we go to the party. 2 bodyguards at the entrance to the yacht, and what do they say? "Sir, please remove your shoes." They have these beautiful cases where you set your shoes in that are lined and everything. It's very elegant, but you had to take your shoes off. I'm like, no, really? He's like, "Sir, you're not getting on the boat unless you take off your shoes."
That's funny.
It's teak wood, and you can't wear your shoes. And so I took it off, and guess what? So I had to do the old flip around. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
I did the flip around. But anyway, I learned a lesson then. Always listen to your girlfriend or your wife about the socks.
Okay.
Do not wear holy socks because you could get caught.
I won't let Joanne listen to this episode.
Tell her she's brilliant.
Now I got to ask you. So all this is going on, and then all of a sudden, now how does Broadway come about? I mean, because you have so much going on, and as Broadway is an actor's dream, how did that come about?
Well, I was doing Young and the Restless, and I was also actually recording an album, and I got a call from Andrew Lloyd Webber's company, and they said, "Mr. Lloyd Webber would like to, Sir Andrew Lloyd would like to meet with you." And so I was like, "Really?" "Well, tell him I'm busy." No, I thought they were joking. You know what I mean? I thought it was kind of a joke, right? I'm like, "Well, I'm busy," and they're like, "No, this is really." I'm like, "Was this serious?" "Yes." "Okay, well then, oh my gosh, of course, I'd love to meet with him." So I went over to meet him at the Bel Air Hotel, and he said, "I'd like you to play Joseph on Broadway." And I was, humbled, blown away. And so, I had this dream opportunity, but the problem was I was under contract with the Young and the Restless to shoot in L.A., and the show in Broadway is, of course, New York. So I'll never forget this. I said, "Well, the only way I could do this would be if you open the show in L.A., and my contract's over in, a year, and then, I could do New York." So they were like, I didn't hear anything for about a week, and they called back and said, "Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to open in L.A." And so therefore, I could do the show because I would shoot in the day, right? And then I would just jump in my car at 5 o'clock, get to the Pantages Theater, and start the show by 7. So that's what I did for about 8 months, and then we went from there. The theater was still not ready in New York, and so then we did San Francisco, and I flew back and forth from the Golden Gate Theater in San Francisco. We were there for about 4 months. So I flew back and forth from San Francisco to L.A., shot Young and the Restless, and jumped on a plane, did the same thing, and then I was able to go to New York and perform. Then when I got to New York, I didn't fly back and forth. I just did a solid year there.
What is the feeling of being on Broadway? A friend of mine was in the Phantom of the Opera, and he said it was just amazing. And he ended up being the Phantom when it came out to Pantages. And
oh my gosh,
Vegas.
Who is that?
His name's Tim Gleason.
Oh wow, that's one of my favorite shows. Just, wanted to tell you.
Well, he said when he was in Vegas, it was tough because it was so many shows a night. I mean, it was shows every night, and you really couldn't go out because it's such a demanding role. I mean, but being on Broadway, just that feel. I mean, what's the feel when you see? It's not like it's like it's not like you were in the background of Broadway. You were the star. I mean, what is that like? What is that? Just that high, that creative high when you hit the stage, when you see all these people lined up. I mean, it's different than concerts. It's different than TV because it's Broadway.
Oh, you're so right. I mean, it's really it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate platform in the entertainment business, and it's the ultimate honor to be on Broadway. And I'll never forget. It's pretty incredible. I just never forget driving to the theater. You see, of course, the billboard, the Minskoff Theater in Times Square, and then, of course, a double-decker bus rolls by with Joseph and me on the bus, double, 2-story tall, and that was like, whoa. And then even a greater, honor, opening night, Andrew Lloyd Webber gave me do you remember the Hirschfelds? Have you seen the Hirschfelds, right?
Yeah.
So Hirschfeld did an amazing, elaborate drawing, and so Andrew gave me the original of that opening night, and I have that in my office. It's pretty amazing. And so that whole, and then stepping out on the stage, was just was surreal, and I just I'll never forget it. I'm humbled, and I have such great respect for Broadway performers. It's an amazing commitment. It's a very tough schedule, and I understand what your friend said about not going out, because I didn't go out ever. Back then, you could smoke inside. I'm allergic to smoke.
Okay.
And so I never went out, because you're in a loud place. You're talking loud. You just can't. Your voice is your instrument, and you have to protect it. And so between working out in the gym, because I wore a loincloth, and yeah, that was another. Well, that was a shock. I'll tell you that one. That costume fitting I'll never forget that moment. That's when I had to go into some serious cardio and sit-ups. So, but it was so worth it. It was worth all the sacrifices, all the hard work, and it was a dream come true.
So you're doing Broadway, you sing, you act. When did you make your foray into directing? Because I want to talk about High Strung, but I want to know how you did that whole transition, because your career is going on, and it's a matter of, was it something, what made you get interested in directing and even writing? I mean, I know the songs you probably wrote, but what made you try to think, you have all this stuff going on, and you're still doing Young and the Restless, you're constantly working. When did you decide you wanted to start writing and directing?
Well, it was actually in New York when when I was doing Joseph, believe it or not, because Janine, my wife, we wanted to. I said, look, I think we need to. I would get all these scripts sent to me as an actor, and I didn't respond to any of them, and I didn't see anything really that phenomenal and that great to really, to do and put my name on it and book out from either the show or for to stop doing whatever I was doing to make a movie. There was nothing that was that great offered to me. So I said, look, let's start working on some stuff, and I want to write something with you. And I have some ideas, and she had ideas, and so we started writing together, and that's sort of when it all began. And I, though, was studying directing. I started. I've always been interested and always been a big fan of directors and followed their work.
Who are some of your favorite directors?
Number one, I would say Frank Capra was one of my top favorite directors. Frank Capra, Francis Ford Coppola. I love George Lucas, of course Spielberg. Those are some of my favorites, and of course I love. I could go on and on and on. But I'm a big fan, and so I started studying. I learned cinematography. I bought 2 Airflex film cameras, started shooting. I wanted to learn everything. Not that I wanted to be a DP, but I wanted to know what I was talking about. So I started shooting, editing, processing the film. This is all while I'm doing all these other things. This was just sort of my mini little preparation for what's to come. And I would go to the camera equipment rental places, and I'd pick their brains. They're like, "Man, aren't you supposed to be on stage somewhere right now?" I'm like, yeah, I got another 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And I just, I wanted to learn, everything there was to that I could learn about directing, and read, studied, watched, observed, and worked with some incredible people. And so that's when I shot a short film called Finders Keepers that I wrote, Witchenine directed, produced it, budgeted it, did everything, all aspects. You know what I mean? I wanted to learn everything, the full circle, the full wheel. And then we had a great opportunity when we moved to France. I don't know if you know, we lived in France for 3 years.
How did you end up going to France?
Well, The Young and the Restless is like the most popular show in France. It's bigger than primetime shows. It's just enormous. And I got so many requests to do stuff in France that we started talking with TF1, and we came up with this idea to develop a TV series in France, shot in English and in French. And so that's when we went over there and we created this pilot called Red Eye, and Janine and I wrote it, produced it, and then what happened was we were trying to get a famous director to shoot the pilot, and because of our budget, because of all kinds of the timing and everything, we couldn't find a director. And our producing partners, because I was a star of the movie, the star of the series, I really, I took myself out of the running as director. But they, after seeing how many different, meetings and how we were pitching the project to the studios or to the networks and whatnot, that they just felt that I should direct it. So I ended up directing the pilot, and that was the real initiation into directing.
Well, and I think it's funny is, we all, you all talk about someone who gets a chance directing, but then for you get this chance for directing, and you're directing yourself, which is just a whole nother aspect you got to deal with.
I learned not to ever do that again. It's because, look, if you just look at, I loved it, don't get me wrong, but if you look at time management, it's not advisable. Because if you think about how much time you have to spend in hair and makeup, and with my hair...
Oh, yeah. Well, your hair, I know you're one of those guys who probably just wakes up and it looks great.
No. I got to go through, there's stages. I got to do a whole prep. There's so much stuff to do. It's crazy. But just the time of hair and makeup, studying dialogue, it's just, for me, it was, now, in retrospect, I see that really, like, even when for instance, I did a cameo in High Strung, and I literally had just, a small role, but that was distracting for me as a director. Like I didn't want to leave the video tap watching what was going on, and you know what I mean? So it was a great experience, and but directing myself in a full feature would be. Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I take my hat off to them. I know Mel Gibson has done it incredibly well with Braveheart.
Oh yeah, and Clint does it, and Woody Allen did it. It's like, God, it's amazing.
That guy is just, I don't know how he does it. He's amazing. You're right. So, but yeah, but we've done now 13 movies, and we've. It's been incredible. It's been an incredible ride.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of those, but I want to talk about the new movie, High Strung.
Okay, great. I'd love to talk about it.
Now, it's a very cool concept. Now, it's I saw like you've done some holiday movies and some movies with pets. Which, hey, how you direct pets, I give you credit, because I have a friend who directed a movie tried to get pets, and he said they're hard to direct because they don't listen. God. But I mean, no, tell me. No, how did High? First of all, tell the listeners what High Strung's about, because it's a very cool concept. It's very, it sort of reminds me of like the genre of Fame, just when you read the log line.
Well, yeah, I could definitely see the parallel there, because High Strung is a Midwestern ballerina who comes to New York to pursue her dream at this incredible conservatory that she has a scholarship to. And she encounters a brooding hip-hop violinist who's busking in the subways in New York, and they have this amazing chemistry and this amazing connection. They team up with a hip-hop dance crew, and how these three different worlds come together to compete in a competition that could change their lives forever. And it's a story of hope. It's a story of pursuing your dreams. It's a love story. And it's a story that we hope will inspire young people and people of all ages to work hard, and that you do have an opportunity, and you can make it if you put in the hard work and effort and believe.
Now, you write with your wife.
Yes.
Whose idea was it, and where did you get the idea? And was it based on someone you know? Because it is, I mean, how often do you think of a hip hop violinist? You don't. I mean, that's the thing. It's something that there's people out there. But how did you come up with the idea, and then how did you start the whole writing process?
Well, Janine has been bugging me about this project for 7 years, just so you know. When I say bugging me, she wasn't bugging me. What it was is we were making the Flick a Horse franchise for Fox, and that took about 3 years. And, we're working with horses. Then we got the Marley and Me prequel, which is now working with dogs. And so another couple years went by, and so but we kept talking about this project that we wanted to do a dance music fusion, something that brings brings our two passions and our two careers together that we know and love and we've experienced, and we could share what we've gone through in our lives and put those things and infuse them into a story. And so what it is Janine got a scholarship at 15 when she was living in Mississippi to the School of American Ballet Theater in New York, and it's Balanchine's company. It's one of the highest honors, and it was her journey coming from a little town, Jackson, Mississippi, to New York. What it was like for her to pursue her dream there, and it was in the Juilliard building. There were a lot of violinists, and there was a couple of them would busk on the weekends and make extra money. And she was telling me about this, and I come from the music world, and so, as you know, and so we really wanted to make a movie of our two passions, dance and music. And that's kind of that's the genesis.
Now, how long did the script take you to write? Because, I mean, it's something that, as I said, when it's both, this is a show, I mean, it's something that's more personal to you guys. I mean, there's different movies you can write, but when something's this personal and it's close to your heart, it must be hard to write for the fact that you're sort of bearing your soul. I mean, it's not your life story, but you're sort of really bearing your soul and your passions. I mean, would you guys bump heads when you were writing it? Or would you sit there and go, I mean, how do you guys write together? Do you both sit down, or do you write something and then she writes something and you put it together? How did you come up with the whole script, and how long did it take you to write?
It took us about 6 months to write it, and what we do is Janine's on the computer, I pace around the room.
Okay.
And we do the dialogue back and forth, and we write dialogue, and it kind of, there's this really amazing organic, you could say it's a tennis match, but it's really not a match. It's sort of it's this really harmonious atmosphere. And what it is like, for instance, I'll give you an example of how the dialogue would just flow. For instance, not to give away too much of the movie, but there's a scene where Ruby's mother drops her off in front of the school with the taxi out front running, and Janine had that exact experience with her mom in New York City when her mom dropped her off. And I just said, Janine, so tell me about it. Tell me what happened. And she started, you know what I mean? She's like, well, I remember my mom saying, I'm so proud of you, and this is everything you wanted, everything you dreamt of and you worked hard for, and just the experience. And then before you know it, by the end of the day, we've got a 5.5 page scene that is written from an actual experience. And she recalled a lot of, the dialogue or the conversation she had with her mom. So it is personal, but a great writer once said, "Write what you know," and this is something that we know about, and this was a real life situation, and and then what's really cool about the writing process for us is that we really work for the characters. Once we create the characters, they just start telling us what to do.
Okay.
And we just really try to stay out of their way and just do what we're told. I know that might sound odd, but
no, cause I've written before. I know. I know exactly what you're saying, because once it's like anything. Once the character, if you have a story idea in your head and you have an outline.
Yep.
The characters are going to command the story, because when you think about it, when you watch a movie, we remember good characters and good dialogue. And that's the thing. I think it is the process where when you write, it creates itself.
Yeah, it really does. It's really an amazing experience that you go into this world, and you understand it because you're right. it's really exciting. It's really a fun world to go into, and sometimes you have to pull yourself out of it to like stop working that day. You know, it's not like we go, oh, okay, you know, punch the clock, we're done. We literally have to like, okay, we have to stop. No, we have to have dinner. It's okay. No, let me just write this. No, we gotta like, you know what I mean?
They always say about writers. They always say, you know, when you sit there, you'll take 30 minutes to clean your desk. You'll do anything to sit and put your ass in that seat. But once you put your ass in the seat, you don't want to get up.
Exactly. And you know, I don't know if you do this, but what I always recommend, and I always tell Janine, you know, we don't do it. We don't go back, like the next day, we do not go back and rewrite the scene from the day before.
Someone told me that because I think what happens is when you do that, you're always going to find something wrong, especially for you when you're writing this movie that's very personal to you guys. There's always going to be something wrong. But you're never going to get past page 2 if you constantly go back. You just got to say, let's plow through it. That's what drafts are for.
Yeah, that's what I would say, get to the end. Get to the end. You're going to know so much more. The characters are going to be so, you know, well developed by then, and also in your mind, and you're going to just have, you'll go on the journey, then go back and then read it, you know, fresh from the beginning. But I always like to try to push forward and try not to go backwards. It's really, for us, I think it's a better psyche. You know, I know a lot of people are saying, you know, like, well, I go back. I go, don't go back.
Right.
Don't go back. And you know, unfortunately, they haven't finished the script yet. I go, well, what's going on? Like, well, it's been 2 years. You
just got to finish it. You got to finish a draft, then go back.
You're never gonna, you know, always complete what you start. That's something my dad taught me at a very young age, and I'm so grateful that both of my parents have taught me that. They've said you've got to complete everything you start. It doesn't matter what it is, get it done, you know, otherwise you're not going to be able to move on. And so that's what I try to always live by that. You know, that's why, you know, make sure my room's always clean, my drawer's clean, car's clean, you know.
Now when you finish writing the script,
yeah.
Now what do you do with it? I mean, do you sit there, you sit there, you know you're going to direct. I mean, you've attached yourself to direct it. But now, Where do you go, and then are you involved in the casting process?
Oh, yeah, we're involved in every aspect, from every single decision. You know, of course, once you build your team up, you know, but that's a little bit down the line, production. But first off, you know, you send it out to the, to the studios or to production companies that have studio deals. And with High Strung, we did send it out, and our agent sent it out, and you know, we got sort of the same reaction was, oh, it's great, but it needs to be edgier and racier, and it's too soft. And we're like, well, we want all ages to see this movie. They're like, well, you know, but it's got to be, you know, we don't want a PG-13 or R-rated movie. They're usually pushing for an R. And so, because this movie, we want to really inspire young people.
Right.
And it's just, we did not want to change the characters and you know, and edge them up and put in a lot of dialogue, you know, a lot of foul dialogue just to up the rating. You know, that's not who we are. And so we had to make it independently. That's pretty much, you know, how we had to do it. And it was so grateful we did. And because if you could hear and see the reactions we've gotten from thousands and thousands of kids and parents all over, you know, thank you for making this. And I'm you know, I got to see a movie with my kid, and it was, you know what I mean? And I brought my mom. You know, it could be a person my age that brought their mom or somebody to see the movie, and or dad, and they really had a great time. And so it really means a lot to us that these people, you know, were able to have that experience. And that's why we had to stick with our gut feeling on how we wanted to make the movie, and not compromise just to be cool and edgy.
See, that's good. I mean, you know, that's the thing. It's sometimes, and I feel especially now, and I'm just, maybe this is my age, but I think people are trying to be cool and edgy, and what they don't get is trying to be cool and edgy doesn't make you cool and edgy. Like, you know, people are cool and edgy because it's something different. I mean, it's just what I've noticed now a lot of times. I mean, it's, people, I want to be cool. Like you see it on Facebook, people post bad things people said about them. Like, that's cool. It's like, no, that stinks. They said something bad.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, for me, it's like, if I get a good guest, I brag. I don't care. I don't humble brag. I go, I got this person on my show. I'm not going to say, oh, this person turned me down. It's so negative.
Yeah, you're so right. Steve, there's already a tremendous amount of negative, dysfunctional, and very racy, edgy stuff coming out of Hollywood already. So we don't really need, that's like, well, come on, what's new? It's just pumping out like crazy. So that's just not who we are. And if that's what they want to do, good for them. We're just headed down a different path. And I'm so excited that I could have my mom at the premiere and have her walk up to me and say that she was so proud and she loved the movie. And for me, that on a personal level, that was really, it meant a lot. And and like I said, we've got kids from 9 years old to 90 that have seen the movie. And I think it's awesome. I love it. It's sort of the crowd that we're getting, sort of the crowd that sees, like you said, Fame or Mamma Mia or Grease or any of those kind of films. I love that crowd. I love it. I'll take that. I'll take this audience. Any day of the week. It's basically the same audience that came to see me and Joseph. It's really no different.
Well, how nervous were you the night of the premiere? Like, just because it's in front of people. I mean, it's your baby. I mean, what was going through your mind and your body when that movie was the opening rolling credits?
It was pretty surreal, I gotta say. It's amazing. The premiere was packed. It was oversold. We had 2 theaters at the Chinese Theater, the one on Hollywood Boulevard, and everybody showed up that we were hoping would show up, and it was really an incredible feeling. All I could think of it sitting in the theater, I just would squeeze Janine's hand and thank her for all her hard work and really inspiring me inspiring us to make this film. And I just had to be really grateful and humbled and honored because, if we hadn't done it, this night wouldn't exist. And I was like, gosh, wouldn't it be a drag if this night wasn't happening? It would be so depressing to think about it. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just wanted to be grateful for there were a million obstacles in the way. You know what I mean?
Right.
The 2-year journey to get it to that night, there were so many obstacles that could have prevented that night. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that we pushed past them, found solutions, prayed. A lot of wonderful people supported us and helped us get to that night. And now we have this film coming out all over the world. Just this morning, I just saw all the German artwork and posters and trailer for Germany. They were having a huge wide release there. Italy, France, same thing. And, just really, I'm so excited. We're going to be there this summer for the international releases. And that's going to be, I can't wait for that as well.
Now, where can people get it on iTunes?
Yeah, you can get it now. High Strung is available on iTunes, Amazon, Fandango now, Vudu. I'm leaning on somebody else. I know. I think that's. I don't know. I think I left out one of them, but I can't. And On Demand. That's right. And On Demand. Yeah, so you can get it now in the U.S. and Canada, and then it'll be out on DVD in August.
Now, people can find all this info where? Because I know what's your Twitter, Michael?
My Twitter is Michael Damian 1 with the number 1.
And your Instagram?
Is The Real Michael Damian.
Okay.
And that's Damian, Damian.
And now, did you give that shirt away? I heard you talking to Steve Benz about...
Yes, I gave the shirt away, and what's so funny, this is hilarious. For those listening, we do a bunch of contests every week. We try to do a fun party, a Twitter party or Facebook and Instagram party on Friday or Saturdays. We gave away the shirt, and it was a sweet girl. Her name is Terry King. Won the shirt, and so it's a high strung, my personal vintage high strung shirt or limited edition high strung shirt. And so I said to her, "Do you want me to have a dry clean before sending?" And she wrote back. She said, "I know this is going to sound creepy, but please send as is." So anyway. It's been packaged up. It's out in the mail now. Hope Terry likes it and get it. Please, Terry, don't. I won't be offended if you get a dry clean immediately when you get it. So
that's fine. We have a few minutes left. What else is coming up for you?
Well, we're just right now is the big push, but we've started writing High Strung 2, actually, and we're working on it as we speak.
And how about the music scene? You singing?
We're gonna work on. I'm gonna work on some music, and hopefully we'll have a song in that film. But yeah, I'm definitely. I've got some ideas for a track. So hopefully it'll be in High Strung 2.
Now, is it easier to write the sequel now that you have had one under your belt? Is it a little easier?
Well, it's not that it's easier, and I wouldn't really say. I mean, you could call it a sequel. It is a sequel, but it's going to be different. It's going to be completely different, and I can't wait. I can't give away too much right now, but we're really excited about what we're going to do. You'll see a lot of things in High Strung 2 that you did not see in the first one. That's for sure. And
now, do you ever perform live anymore?
No, I haven't performed live, but I mean, hey, listen, I'm always available for a good wedding or a bar mitzvah. Just call me.
I think you need. You know what you should do? You should direct. You should direct a remake of you singing "Rock On."
Direct the music video?
Yeah, of you now singing it, but with your own directing influence. That would be, I think, a first. I don't think people direct a remake of a remake of a remake.
That's a great idea.
See, that's what. And I could be the boom camera guy. I could be the boom operator.
And we'll change the lyrics of the song. Maybe "Hey Steve, rock and roll, rock on."
See, Cooper Talk, rock on. See, that would be my new theme song.
Oh, I see. Hey Cooper Talk, rock and roll, rock on.
See that? And I got one more question for you.
Hit me
before we wrap up. Back in the day, because I used to have hair. Did you use in the 80s? Did you use? Remember the Tenex? Tenex was that green gel. What did you use in your hair?
I used Paul Mitchell mousse and Paul Mitchell probably I think hairspray, and there was one other product. I had several concoctions. I had to do quite a few things. I put in there. It was. I could have easily gone up in flames if anybody had a match near me. It could have gotten ugly. Seriously.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Once again, give your Twitter and your Instagram.
So it's Michael Damian 1, and that's my Twitter, and the real Michael Damian is my Instagram. But I'd also love for you to visit us at High Strung the Movie, and you can go to highstrungthemovie.com if you want to go to our website, or High Strung the Movie is our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we'd love to have you join us and follow us. And hope you enjoy the movie. Let me know what you think. I'd love to get the reaction. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
I will, though. Wait, so go check it out and go watch High Strung. I'm going to watch High Strung. Also, people, follow me on Twitter. It's at Cooper Talk. That's at Cooper Talk. Instagram, Cooper Talk 1. That's my little Cooper Talk 1 because someone had Cooper Talk. My website is coopertalk.net. I have 512 episodes up there. You can also reach me at coopertalk.net. I'm doing a stand-up show Tuesday, June 14th. I do a show every 3 months. It'll be at Flappers at the Yoo-Hoo Room. $2 Tuesdays to get in. It's a 7:30 show. Do that. Also, I'm going to join SAG because I played some hand model stuff and some other stuff. So if you want to join and you like the show, I have a bunch of gift packages. If you go to GoFundMe.com/Cooper Talk, I have my autographed book. I have a bunch of things. And yeah, about my book. Remember, it was 4 years ago. About this time, I went to the hospital with my heart problem. Well, I changed my diet. Go to StopTheSalt.com. It's my low-sodium cookbook. It's 120 recipes, 120 easy-to-make recipes. No pictures to intimidate you. It's very informative. It helps you eat. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it at Amazon. But if you get it at StopTheSalt.com, I will sign it for you. and I make more money. So anyway, people, please go follow Michael Damian. Check him out. Check out High Strung the movie. Follow me at Cooper Talk. Email me, Cooper@CooperTalk.net. Tell me who you want on the show, because I'm always hustling for guests. Remember, I'm Steve Cooper. I'm only as hip as my guests. Don't forget, drink your water, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, and I will talk to you guys next week.